Yes.
Right. Thanks, folks, for joining. We're just going to give a couple minutes to see if anyone else trickles in. Hello, hello. We're just going to wait a couple minutes for others to join. I know this is kind of a tough time of the year where a lot of people are traveling, but hopefully folks will watch the recording. I will wait about one more minute and then we're going to jump in. Good to see you, Adam.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm great. Welcome back to the are you back to the land of the living yet or
Sort of.
it's
Making my way there.
it's like a 6 week right at the beginning. It's like a 6 week you like at one point you wake up and you're like, okay, like I'm at least borderline a functional human being again.
Yeah, it takes a while, that's for sure. Thank
Everybody's good.
Everybody's good, yeah. Chloe's 4 months now, and she's had some health challenges, which has made it a lot harder than with our first, but starting to get better, so that's good.
Good to hear.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I'm thinking we're probably going to have a smaller group today, just given time of year and summer travel and everything. So are we recording yet, Arif? Okay.
Yes.
A couple of just some logistics before we jump into the pitches. Um, as a reminder, we do not do an August pitch. This is because it seems like every year everybody's traveling in August and we just don't get enough interest in those deals to move forward. So whichever of the two companies from today that we move forward with, that'll kind of be our one company for the summer till September, and then we'll resume pitches again. So as a reminder, it's our standard format today, two companies, each will do a 10-minute pitch followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. Um, After today, Arif will send a quick survey we send it in WhatsApp, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'll send it right after the pitches so that people can put in their selection in real time.
Perfect. Um, And then we will move forward with one of the two companies into diligence next week, after which we'll start taking commitments in one company. Now that I'm back from maternity leave, we are resuming the diligence trainings. And so that will take place next Tuesday, a week from today, for anyone who wants to join and get involved in diligence, for this month. Please always remember to mute your lines during the pitches, and then you can unmute yourself to ask any questions that you want during the Q&A, or you can put them in the chat and I will ask them out loud. So without taking any further time away from Rami, I'm going to give a quick intro. Querio is an AI data platform that enables companies to do analysis and reporting on any of their data across a company at a technical level. It's pre-seed company. Rami's in London, although the company is a Delaware C Corp in the US. 60K of ARR is their current traction, and they're raising on a 10 million post-money cap safe. And I will let Rami take it away and he can share more details. Are you still
Hi.
there?
Yes,
Oh,
can you hear me okay?
yep.
Nice to meet you, everybody. Let me just share my screen really quick to get the deck up. All right, is it showing up?
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, nice to meet everybody. My name is Rami. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Querio, and we're building data intelligence at any technical level. Thank you, Caroline, so much for the intro, and I'm excited to pitch for you guys today. So, to get right into it, companies have two main problems when it comes to analyzing and reporting their data. The first is that business teams can't self-serve their own data needs. And the second is that data teams at these kind of companies are very inefficient. What do I mean by these 2 points? On the first part, The fact that business teams can self-serve causes a lot of issues. It makes things very slow, frustrating, and expensive. Even if you have a basic questions, like how many people that logged into our app today are new users, you need to reach out to the data person, wait for a report, or get a CSV. And there's a lot of situations like that where you really have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get your answer, or just maneuver through a lot of different bureaucracy or technical tools that are just hard to go through. On the other side, for the data teams, they don't just have to report the data. A lot of the times, like us as business users, we look at our data teams as, their main job is to surface our reporting needs, but they have a lot of other things to do that makes that easier, right? They need to organize their data, analyze it. For instance, if they want to do sales forecasting with multiple tools, yet even though they have so much responsibilities, they're spending more than half their time doing reporting because of that big bottleneck that it causes to the rest of the company. And you can see on the right, the diagram of all the things that a data person has to do throughout their just like workflow, and so many different, tabs to different tools and interruptions. So what if it didn't have to be this way? What if there was a way to make a data tool that could fix both of these problems? And that's why we're building Querio. Querio is going to be one data platform for business and technical teams. And something that Caroline mentioned before is that we're meeting everyone at their technical level to get what they need from their data. So on one end, we offer frictionless self-service reporting, and our AI-first platform lets anyone gather data, answer questions, generate reports at any technical level by just, for instance, writing a prompt or some other features I'm going to show you guys in a second on the next slide. And on the other end, for technical teams, we let them do some advanced analytics with a more Copilot feature. So if someone doesn't need a full-fledged query and answer done for them, we can boost their ability to do some more data science work. Now let's see what that looks like a bit. So you can ask a simple question, like what are the sales for July? Query will write the code for you in Python, give you the answer really quick. Let's say you want to make a graph of sales for this year. You kind of know what you want of the X and Y, but maybe you don't know what customers are in what table, etc. So you go into the chart builder, you can describe what you want in the description. You can put in the X-axis that you want the month when the sale was done. On the Y-axis, we can put that the sum of the sales in dollars. And then Query will find those columns for you, do the right aggregations, and after you click apply, it'll just produce that graph for you. Now, we can also save this into a board, so we can track things throughout time, month over month when things change. And here's where something cool really happens. So we can export this into a notebook if I'm someone technical and maybe I want to figure out the sales forecast for the rest of the year based on historical trends. I could simply start the Copilot, ask a question like forecast sales for the rest of the year. It'll add a new cell to a Jupyter notebook, write that code. It already has access to the entire data model in the schema, calculate that value for you, and you can also add this to your board. So that's with a quick demo. And other products in the market are usually very too technical, or they're only for reporting. What do I mean by that? Tools like Looker, Tableau, ThoughtSpot, Metabase, they're very good for reporting, but they're very technical. Usually you need a data team, a data analyst team. They usually sell licenses only for those teams that need to create them. And they're usually too technical for the everyday business person to use. On the other hand, you have some new generation tools kind of in the similar kind of domain space as us that's trying to use AI, right, to revolutionize the space, that do a lot of text to SQL. That's really great for reporting and surfacing data that already exists in your database, but that is only reporting. It doesn't really touch the issue of improving the workflow for the teams that really decide how to use data in a company, which is those data teams. And because of these kind of differences, some of our customers have already left Looker and Metabase for us, despite us being much younger with less features. So before I go to market, right now we're selling to CTOs at SaaS and e-commerce scale-ups. You can think of the acquirable market as generally like seed, late seed is where that starts. There's $8.1 billion opportunity if you assume a contract value of 15,000, which is a bit conservative. There's 540,000 companies in that frame. And for obtainable over the next 2 years, those are like Series A, Series B companies. They usually have between 20 and 250 employees. And you can imagine a slightly lower ACV to begin with, which would put it at a 1.8 billion opportunity. So we launched in February, and since then we've hit about 65,000 annual recurring revenue, and we have a full pipeline of $600,000. And all of that has been outbound-led founder sales. It's me and my co-founder. We're doing cold outreach. We're reaching out to companies who usually maybe just raise a round if we can find them on Crunchbase and other means. And we know that they have a lot of data needs, and they usually don't have the data team to kind of really start surfacing those insights. We've had nobody churn, and our average contract value is 8,000. Our customers have had a lot of success so far. One of our earlier customers, Mercury, has cut 2 weeks off of their monthly reporting needs for leadership. We've had 3 customers tell us in a row that they've delayed 1 to 2 data hires, which is making us believe we can actually raise pricing if we can consistently say we're going to save you $200,000 in salary billings the first year. We've had multiple customers also, replace Looker, Kibana, and Metabase for our tool. And that's really because they don't need to keep hiring and scaling up a huge data team so early. And even though they have 1 or 2 data people, they can immediately start getting a lot more insights than we're getting before. It's a difference in running blind and having actual insights to make better decisions. The wedge that we're using to get to 100 customers, we're calling it data team as a service. Usually when you're a scale up, you can't use a BI tool because you're missing some infrastructure. You need to maybe organize your data a bit in a separate warehouse. You need just one person just help give it initial cleanup and make it ready to start doing analytics on. And so we offer that as part of onboarding to our customers, which is why they're delaying data hires for us. And that is a very, very strong value proposition that they're enjoying. They get to delay a couple of hires. They get to have some free upfront engineering work done, which takes us about 2 weeks. It's not that complex. And then they get their first data insights. And so that's what we're using to get to 100 customers. And we're having no problem kind of prospecting and locating customers right now. And it's because of this value that we can provide. That's only because we're small and scrappy and able to do the more unscalable things at the moment. Our strategy going into the long term is that as we go to the higher, and larger ICPs, they're going to have more kind of established data teams that aren't going to only be looking to save time through the dashboarding reporting, but they're going to be looking at those, Python analytics and kind of Copilot-esque features. And so when they get into kind of the small data team, they can't support reporting, we're going to really focus on the value prop of only delaying actual data analyst hires that will do the reporting, and they can focus on the engineering so we can save them time. And over the long term, the vision is that we're able to completely have the data team leverage and do just the hardest work themselves, and then all the other stuff, whether it's data governance and reporting and cataloging, can all be done on Querio. So for the team, me and my co-founder started this a year ago. I'm Rami. Before I started Querio, I worked at Amazon for 5 years. I started off doing industrial engineering. I ended up moving into a technical product role for Amazon Robotics, where I was working on industrial vision learning systems for those industrial robotic arms that pick up packages across warehouses for middle and last mile logistics. Also the algorithms that kind of define how packages get sorted by zip code. I ended my tenure at Amazon working at Alexa. Still in product, I still manage engineers, but it was more of a strategy role of what we should build next and why outside the US. And that's how I ended up in London to begin with. And I've had experiences both sides of the spectrum, both in technical roles and business roles. My co-founder, he's a 2x exit operator. So he worked for 2 startups back to back, Glovo and Friday Finance that got acquired. And he also, like me, started off in a data engineering role, then he moved to a product role. And he's also experienced on both sides. And generally, we both have very deep experience with this problem from both sides of the aisle at both large and small companies. And we were solving it unscalably ourselves before starting Querio to solve it through software scalably. We're raising 1.5 million USD to hit 1 million ARR. We have about 700,000 of that already committed. And we're going to use the money for a few things. Like I mentioned before, we're having no problem prospecting and then getting more customers in the pipeline. The largest issue we're having is engineering bottlenecks. So we're going to be funding and expanding the team for 24 months to remove those bottlenecks and keep increasing our sales growth as we have been. Going to deliver key product features defined through discovery. And we're going to keep driving our wedge so we can hit 100 customers and carve a path out to product market fit by making those customers love the product, learning from them, and defining the next life cycle of our sales strategy to kind of keep growing to those next milestones of 10, 50, 100 million ARR. I have a quick timeline of the sales in the bottom. And that's my entire pitch. Thank you for listening. And again, we're Querio and we're building data intelligence at any technical level. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rami, for the pitch. Investors, please feel free to jump in directly and ask questions. And if you put them in the chat, I will ask them out loud. I see one already came in the chat, so we can start there, which is, what is your pricing currently for the product?
Great question. So we have 2 main pricing models. We have a starter plan, which we're charging $8,000 a year, and I guess enterprise or growth plan, which we're charging $15,000 per year. We don't do a per seat pricing. It's not usage based. It's more ceiling. So the first one's up to 12 seats. The other one is up to 30 seats. And we usually charge ad hoc if they go over that. We will also have some maximum query limits. And yeah, I can go more into that if you'd like.
That is helpful. Anyone else have questions? And I apologize, Rami, it's a smaller group today. I think folks are maybe on vacation right now. So
That's okay.
Sorry if we're not as engaged as we would normally be. All right, we've got a couple others though coming in. Can you tell us how you import the data?
Sure. So a pretty common way that kind of data products work is that they connect directly to data warehouses, things like Snowflake, Google BigQuery, Redshift, and it's where the source of truth of data lives. Usually when you work with an Excel sheet, someone is querying the database for you, bringing you a subset in the table as a CSV, and then handing it to you. But we connect directly to the source, and it's every single product has a way to integrate with it. So like Google uses Google Authenticator, like you sign in with the Google ID if you're the company, someone who's authorized to connect the database, etc. And then we get what we call read-only access, where you can just view the schema and run queries against that database. Yeah, and I can go into more technical details if required.
That is helpful. Thank you.
It's a live connection. Yeah, everything's always real time.
We have another one, great pitch and product. It seems like the initial adoption process is quite manual. How do you plan to scale as you have to do more implementations?
Yeah, absolutely. So data products like classically do have a bit of an implementation period. It's one of the reasons they're so sticky, right? Like you can comfortably kind of assume that companies will stay with you at least 3 years because of how deeply ingrained these products get into your tech stack and the initial lift and getting them up and running. So over the long term, once we go for those larger customers, that data team as a service offering goes away. They won't need us to do initial engineering because they already have those data teams that did that. That's automatically going to cut our onboarding time in half. And the second thing we're going to be doing, which we've already started, right? So for instance, one important thing is to give our AI models context about their data for things like how it joins, what each table is used for, etc. And you can call that a data catalog if you want. And that's something we used to have an internal tool for that we used to fill out and then hand to the customer. And now that's its standalone feature. So there's a tab called the knowledge base where customers can fill out that context themselves. And we're starting to offload some of that implementation work to those companies when they have the data teams available. So the main answer for that is as we go to larger companies, they will have the data teams themselves that can implement these products. Obviously, we'll be hand-holding them as any tech company would. But yeah.
Sounds good. Any other questions from folks? We've got about 3 or 4 more minutes till our next company. I guess I'll jump in. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Sorry. Hey, guys. This is Raz. Just a quick question on the import model. I understand the Snowflake and all those sort of models. With regards to the flip side and downstream tools and activating them, do you guys have a plan of either reverse ETL or ETL across to activation platforms like MailChimp or whatever other data activation platforms needed from the reports created in your platform?
So it's funny you asked that. Earlier last year, we set up an integration with Fivetran that allowed us to do some ETLs, right? So they have like a lot of pipelines already set. You can log into MailChimp, Google Analytics, Facebook, whatever it is, and we could ETL your data into a database. So we've scrapped those plans for now. Companies with databases usually are the ones that are like have the strongest problems. If you have like HubSpot or you know like Meta's like ad platform, it's slow, but you can download a CSV and maneuver through it. And so data that lives in a warehouse has been the highest value one that we can touch for these early stage scale ups, which are appropriate for our products maturity. And we're going to be sticking to that. So we're not going to be delving into the reverse ETL and ETL layer at the moment. But if customers kind of point us towards a direction, we're obviously very flexible.
Awesome, thanks.
A couple other questions. Can you talk about customer service post implementation?
Yeah, I mean, assuming implementation's done and everything's like happy, customer service is pretty much like on demand as needed. We have a support email that they can email. We don't have anything like in-app yet, although that's in our roadmap. We also have a phone number, which is me or my co-founder, depending on who owns the account for like emergencies. But in terms of customer service needs, they're very minimal, right? It's their data sitting on their warehouse. If something's wrong, usually something's like maybe something's missing from their data side, or there's a blank row or a blank day. It's usually have nothing to do with us. Is the question more about how do we do customer service, or how often do we do it after implementation, Cassia?
Around if the end user is not very technical and is unable to really grasp sort of the why something may be broken, whether it's on their side or not, how do they find support to get the issue resolved? That's
a great question. So the way that we're going to solve this over the long term is that one of our newest features is going to be a Slack integration. So something data teams tell us is that I don't want you to just blindly be answering questions of my business to my business teams without me being able to at least see what's going on or correct it or help them. And usually companies have like a ticket system on Slack or on Jira where they'll submit tickets to the data team and then they respond. So we're going to be integrating with those as for our first Series B customer. And they can escalate a query that seems weird if they don't understand to the data team. The data team will have full visibility for queries, or they can just escalate things that are very complex, for instance. I think there's still going to be a human in the loop, that data team in the loop, but they're going to be needing 80, 90% less time of like active day-to-day querying on behalf of those teams.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the question. And Dimitri, when your question, what's the profile of the end user that will be using the product? You mentioned other solutions available on the market can be too technical. Yeah. So profile of the end user could be everything from a junior product manager to a head of product. It could be a sales manager. It could be internal operations. It could be customer success, looking up details about a customer's account, or leadership making reporting for like general kind of visibility needs. And I know that sounds like a lot, but typically companies aren't buying a data tool for every team. They don't buy Tableau for sales and Looker for finance and Metabase for marketing. They'll usually get one BI tool that the company uses as a whole, with people understand the data, making all the general reporting. And so the initial profile is going to be mainly business users for 90% of the usage. Outside of the technical team, that's going to be correcting queries or doing some complex Python stuff in there. The reason things like Looker can be complex are a couple of reasons. People usually can't do their own work because of two reasons. They don't understand data, so they don't know that customer in a database is called actual name ID, for instance. It's just difficult to map, or they just can't write SQL or Python to pull that data from that database as they want, for the month they want, for the kind of customer they want, etc. And so yeah, I think that basically answers the question.
Super helpful. I just have kind of one I would love for you to answer, Rami, which is if you could go into a little more detail on like what exactly makes this super unique, because it is a really crowded space. We've actually invested in another kind of similar company trying to do the same thing that and they've definitely seen some challenges. I don't think they're competitive, more collaborative, but just curious, kind of in a space that's really, really crowded and hard to differentiate, like what's the one thing that makes you stand out?
Sure. So the first thing I'd like to say is we've had about 430 customer calls in the last 5 months, all recorded, and we've had customers ask about a competitor about 3 times. There's a big kind of like discrepancy between the awareness of kind of the startup world about competitors and the actual customers, what they're seeing. And they're unaware of these kind of like enterprise grade database level solutions for their problems, which is a big benefit for us. And which is very important because I think that, our wedge, the ISP that we're starting with and our approach is going to be crucial because it is a bit of a distribution game for the first couple of years, right? But the second thing that's going to be different, especially when you talk about the full-fledged vision of the product, is I think a lot of our competitors kind of pitch themselves as, you don't need your data team, or this is Texas SQL helps do the reporting. I know I focus a lot of the reporting aspect today and the visuals and the SQL and the business team usage, but I think what's really going to kind of make us stick out over the long term is the fact that we have a lot of custom like R&D internally. So we have a custom agent layer, if you know what that is. We don't use things like LangChain. We have a custom context layer. We don't use things like Cube. Everything is built in-house for the specific use case, which is just something that's just not replicable easily. And I think our focus on data teams and not only saving them time, but getting into the workflows for their data science is going to make us very sticky with the teams that are really deciding what product companies buy, even if they're not going to be the biggest users of the product. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. With that, we do need to transition to our next company. If any, well, thank you everyone for all the great questions. But if any other questions come up, Rami will follow up with you over email, and we will be in touch next week with more info on our end.
Sounds great. Thank you all for today. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Arif, is H in the room yet?
Yes, I just let her in.
Awesome.
So it'll take her a few seconds to get acclimated.
Hey H, how are you?
Everybody, nice to meet everybody.
Hey,
Great
H.
to see you again. I'm just going to give a quick intro and then I'll pass it over to you to begin.
Sounds great.
Husslup is a professional network that connects creative talent with companies looking to hire creative talent. They have a really interesting product that leverages AI, and we've been impressed with their early traction. They have over 15,000 member signups, and H can go into more detail about that during the pitch, but they are raising 750K on a 13 million post-money cap safe. And H, when you get into it, would love to hear kind of an update on where things are at with the round as well. But I'm excited to turn it over to you to give your uninterrupted pitch.
That sounds great. I'll share my screen and we'll get going. Nice to meet everybody. Thanks for taking the time today to chat with us. We at Husslup are super excited about the new suite of tools that we're releasing, Greenlight Studio, which is an AI-driven community studio for creatives to greenlight themselves. And you might be thinking, what does it mean to greenlight yourself? I asked the same question. We got a standing ovation at our panel at South by Southwest last year, and it led us on a quest to figure that out. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Just to give you a little background on where the entertainment industry is right now. I'm sure you've read in the papers, it's not just in the trades, it's everywhere, that production has slowed as the streaming wars have come to a head. They're pulling back on film and TV content spend. Global production's down about 10% year over year. And that means that creatives are getting very scrappy about how they continue to grow their career and monetize their career. But the other side of that is that consumers watch more content than ever before. Millennials are watching 4+ hours of video a day. And a lot of them, including my daughter, I might add, and a lot of that video is not distributed by studios. So creatives need tools to make content more quickly, to make better content, and to monetize it with this audience. And it's worth noting the AI revolution in creative industries is really just getting started. But the one thing creatives are very serious about is that they want a brand they can trust that's not going to steal their IP and not going to replace them. And that's where Husslup really uniquely positioned to solve this problem. Our network, which TechCrunch called LinkedIn for the entertainment biz, already helps about 15,000 vetted creatives who are invite only connect with opportunities. 50% of our members are active on the platform every week. By active, I mean they take an action on the platform. And about 70% of our members self-identify as diverse. So we have an incredibly well-qualified and diverse talent pool. And so what we're introducing is Greenlight Studio, which is to say, instead of waiting for 4 vertically integrated conglomerates that are right now really controlling the entertainment industry globally, Husslup's AI-driven community studio enables our freelancers to do a lot of very cool things, to create better IP faster and more cheaply, to sell their IP in our new smart content marketplace, which we're building on top of our talent marketplace that already exists in our suite of tools, to pool talent to get their content made, and to self-finance and distribute their content. I like to think about this as United Artists for the 21st century. At the dawning of the film industry, again, there were about 4 companies controlling the industry. Those guys were putting their feet on the desk with a stogie, and they had a really draconian system that was driven by what's called contracts, the contract system. Mary Pickford, Doug Fairbanks, and Charlie Chaplin launched a talent-owned studio called United Artists to really combat that and to empower creatives to take control of their own destiny. By the 1930s, UA was actually distributing in over 40 countries. And so 100 years later, we really feel like the entertainment industry is at a very similar inflection point. And instead of breaking ground on a backlot with a pick, we are really building a groundbreaking platform, a platform that we're actually allowing our community to invest in as well. And so the first phase, the phase we're focused on right now, is really building and launching these ethical Gen AI creative tools. The first tool, which we're in a beta on right now, is called Full Script Assessment. The idea here is that you get the studio notes before you submit to the studio. Something that on the selling side, writers and producers have to do is break their script down, log line, plot synopsis, scene breakdown, character breakdowns and descriptions. What we give them is all of that content, but we also give them an analysis and an assessment. We give them a marketing package that gives them comps and a way to pitch their marketing to the studio. And we also give them suggestions for improvement that we've honed now to be incredibly good with reference page numbers. We're getting 5 out of 5 with every customer we test this with. People are loving it. And I think it's worth noting on the other side of that equation, the buying side, studios do the same thing. So you're doing duplicative work where a writer's spending a week doing this, and then the studio's spending a week doing this and paying somebody to do it. Now you can generate this in literally 3.5 minutes on Husslup. Our second tool is Elevator Pitch Coach, where you can nail the pitch before you go in the room. I'm sure a lot of you on this call have had to pitch in various careers that you're in. It's nerve-wracking. You get nervous. You wind up practicing in the bathroom mirror in an echo chamber. With Elevator Pitch Coach, you can stream 4 minutes of your elevator pitch. Elevator pitch should really be less than that, but a 4-minute elevator pitch. And we give you back really actionable insights. We give you back insights on your pitch structure. Did you have a good inciting incident? Was your ending strong? Did you clearly introduce your characters? And about 12 other things. We give you semantic feedback on filler words and weak words, non-inclusive language, pacing, probably going a little fast right now, it would tell me, pausing. And then it also gives you, and this is the really cool part, we're working with a company that does ethical emotional intelligence. We've built a really interesting API with them where we're able to read your facial expression and your vocal expression and give you feedback on your actual performance. So we're able to say to you, hey, your top 5 emotions were calmness, serenity, joy, and happiness. That's 4, but you get the idea. Hey, you're pitching a thriller. You might not want to just have those emotions. Here are some other emotions and some places where you could improve that with match back to the timeline, to the time code. So the idea here, you can see we have a robust product roadmap of what we want to release. The idea here is that we're not replacing creative talent. We are making creative talent more successful with these tools, and we're doing it in a way where they can improve their projects without feeling like their scripts are being taken for training and or that they're getting replaced. Along with that, we're releasing a smart content marketplace where we'll be able to mine all of the data generated by those AI tools to build a really robust search tool where our production companies, producers, and financiers can come in and search pretty granularly for something that meets their criteria for a project they want to option or buy. Again, this layers over the talent marketplace we already have so that you'll be able to do both things. You can find the project and staff the project on Husslup. The next phase, which we're looking at building at the beginning of the year, is really a talent pool phase. We did this manually during the strikes last year, and we realized, hey, we could use an AI tool to really do this in a much better and much more efficient way, where you're able to mine all of the information on somebody's profile to put them into a talent pool. It's essentially a give-get system where you can offer up your skill and take somebody else's skill to get your project to the next level. So we pool people with about 10 at a time in a finite period of time, 6 or 8 weeks. I give storyboards and I get a budget, and everybody's project comes out of the pool going to the next level. And then the final piece of this is really an algorithm that helps people, once they've already done the assessments and done the work, to take that script or that pitch or that sizzle reel or that project and be able to come out the other side with recommendations on financing and distribution. We take all the information that we have about your project, and then we recommend to you financial models that make sense for the scale at which your project needs to be released. We're already talking with all of these companies. We're already working out various proprietary deals that we can do with them to help our members connect efficiently with financing and distribution. Our special sauce is pretty straightforward. We've already got 15,000 customers. We've been talking to them. We know they want these tools. We've got already a lot of data points on them from their professional profiles and what they do on the platform. And then the network effects, as people use these tools, the tools get better and more people want to use them. In terms of the subscription model, it really mirrors the product release. Right now, the subscription model will focus on the AI Gen AI tools. As we roll out Talent Pool, we'll have a premium tier. And then when we roll out distribution and financing algorithms, we'll have a more expensive tier. And all along the way, we'll have a company subscription. We already have a company subscription for our staffing tools. We'll roll Greenlight tools into those to give companies a fuller package of what they want. We'll also offer the tools a la carte, so you don't have to be a Husslup subscription member in order to use them. But obviously, the better deal is to sign up for the subscription. And we believe it really pays to hustle up. We believe the SAM and TAM of these new products is very large at 15,000 members. At the premium subscription, which is the middle tier that I showed you, it's about 13.5 million in ARR. But we believe we can capture 20 million folks globally who are already making money monetizing their creative content. And at the mogul subscription rate for that, we're looking at about 24 billion in ARR. Few testimonials from the folks that have been in our beta program and testing these tools for us. You'll see we have writers, we have producers, we have executives who are using these tools. We have more testimonials if anybody would like to see them, but these are 3 very strong ones from folks who really think the tools have helped them in a very real way. In terms of go-to-market, we have the 15,000 creative freelancers who are already starting to test and use the tool. We also have 25 plus professional and nonprofit partners we work with regularly that we'll be able to get the word out and launch through with free webinars and trials. Obviously, the global community through paid comms and trade coverage. And then we have 50 plus studio and production company partners that already work with us. And we believe that we'll be able to roll them onto subscriptions with the idea that these tools make their jobs much, much easier. Quick timeline. Again, this is all in the deck that we'll share. We're already heading into August. The summer has flown by. We've launched a beta of Full Script Assemblies, and we're about to launch the beta of Elevator Pitch Coach. In September, we'll be rolling out the content marketplace and some more tools in the AI tool suite. And by the end of the year, we expect all of the AI Gen tools to be rolled out and about 30% of our members to be on a creative tier subscription. Our benchmark is to have 270,000 in monthly recurring revenue by December. In terms of competition, there are 2 ways to look at it. There's the content marketplace side and then the Gen AI tools side. Nobody has really married those 2 things together. We believe that the data is going to be incredibly valuable to help connect buyers and sellers and to help sellers do a better job making their content. And in terms of additions to the team, we've brought on Matt O'Brien. Matt actually worked for me back in the day in television. He's gone on to get a degree in AI engineering and game design. He's product managing our tools in this product suite. And Natasha Upchurch has a deep understanding. She's got years of experience working with a lot of these platforms and APIs so that she's able to build really robust tools for us that leverage a lot of different platforms in a very proprietary way. And so thanks so much. I know this was a lot. Happy to answer any questions, and we look forward to hustling up with you.
Mm-hmm. No pun intended.
Exactly.
Thank you, H. Investors, please feel free to jump right in and ask any questions you have out loud, or I can ask them if you put them in the chat. There's got to be some questions.
H, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to formulate the company and why you see the sort of founder market fit?
Yeah, you bet. I spent about 20 years in the entertainment business on both the buying and selling side, mostly in television. My background is really sitting in a executive chair, a C-suite chair after having been a showrunner making TV shows. And so I saw a lot of need for a professional network that spoke to the pain points of people working in this industry. Specifically, initially when we launched talent staffing, it felt like everything was still operating on telephones that were plugged into a wall. And so it felt really hard for people to get outside of their small cliques and diversify their talent pipeline and connect with people that they hadn't worked with before. So the purpose of Hustle Up initially was to really build, LinkedIn for the entertainment industry, where you were able to effectively connect and recruit, and on the creative freelancer side, obviously build a network. as the industry has gone through some pretty heavy changes in the last 12 to 18 months, one of the things we've really focused on is the creative freelancer customer on our platform, on our marketplace. And we've been really talking to them about what they need, and we've been really thinking about how to super serve them. And so the community studio idea really emerged out of those conversations and looking at the ways in which content is exploding, but folks working for traditional studios are having trouble really growing their career right now. And so we believe that these tools, based on talking to our customers and other research, that these tools will be the thing that really creates a new opportunity for those customers in the industry.
Awesome. Thank you.
We've got one in the chat. Are non-actors and writers, such as those who specialize in animation or game design, also part of the target market?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we launched, we focused on sort of the holy triumvirate of writers, producers, and directors, both in film and TV. Those are the above the line folks. They hire each other, and they also hire down funnel. And now we have on the platform both above and below the line folks, DPs, animators, DPs are cinematographers, animators, costume, set design, a lot of composers. I think they get lonely. They want to come on the platform and talk to each other, editors, etc. So we have a pretty robust community of all kinds of professions within the entertainment industry.
That is helpful. What's the monthly growth rate of new talent joining the platform?
Yeah, that's great. You know, I have to get you a fully updated number. I should have looked at that before I got on the call, but we are growing on average by about 10 to 12% a month, and we are invite only, so that throttles our growth a little bit. But what that means is that we have zero spam, zero fake profiles. We have a super active and engaged community that's on the platform, updating their profiles, etc. Now, when we launch Greenlight Studio, you'll be able to get to that without going through the membership wall, right? You won't need to become a member of Husslup in order to use Greenlight tools.
Can you talk a bit more about your CAC and LTV ratio?
Yeah, so our CAC is pretty low. We don't do any paid social right now. We don't do any real paid acquisition. All of our acquisition right now is through three funnels. It's through partnerships. So we just onboarded Women in Film and TV New York, and we had about 100 of their members. We literally launched it yesterday. About 100 of their members came in between yesterday about 5 p.m. and this morning at about 10 p.m. 10 a.m. So that's very effective for us as partnerships. We have a wait list that you can join. We vet you, and then we invite you in. We vet that on a bi-weekly, twice a week basis. So we're always bringing in new members that way. And then we also do events. So we do webinars, we do mixers, we do a lot of free events that bring more folks in that are qualified and in the industry.
Very helpful.
And we have less than 1% churn. We have very, very low churn.
That's great. Any other questions from the group?
Just a quick question. What else is there out there in the marketplace that you're either competing with or is similar, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll just head back to that slide briefly just so you can see. Whoops, I don't know what's happening right now. So the AI tools have been mostly focused on the script coverage, which is the first tool we're releasing. And there are probably 3 companies doing this right now. There's one called Avail. There's one called ScriptSense. Probably the one that's the most advanced is Screenplay IQ, the one you see on the chart. We've been actually asking folks, we've been giving them money to run their script through our competitors and then a free run on our platform so that we can get them to compare the coverage. And we have consistently been coming out as the #1 set of coverage. We think it's better and more accurate, but also we give you a lot more in the coverage than any of these companies give you. So for example, with a TV script, we give you suggested plot points for 8 episodes, and they're really good. I ran one of my scripts through it, and I was like, damn, I wish I had had this 5 years ago when I was trying to sell this thing. So, you know, there's a value prop there that I think we're hopefully excelling at. We believe we have to launch these with a lot lot of value for them to be really effective. Then the other side of it is the actual content marketplace. You see three comps for that: Wattpad, The Blacklist, and Slated. Slated primarily connects producers who have projects with financing, so they're sort of a niche slice of that. The Blacklist really, in my opinion, takes a little bit of advantage, but they basically charge writers $30 a script per month to host your script on the Blacklist. They have a very good reputation. They get a lot of things in the right hands to get stuff made, but it's expensive. It's a very expensive alternative. And they're not using any kind of AI search tool to get to that content. Wattpad, probably one of the best known. Some of you folks may have heard of it. It was sold, I think, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago to a Canadian company. They primarily specialize in fiction. They connect fiction writers with fans, but they have created essentially a marketplace out of that where you can go and find content. They have an internal studio that does most of that sourcing and cherry picks the stuff off the top, but you can go in and you can find stuff on Wattpad. Again, that's mostly fiction that people are looking to option for film and TV. So Phone Booth on Netflix came out of that, which was their biggest hit. And otherwise, I think, in terms of really having the robust underlying networking and marketplace platform that we're layering these AI tools over, we're really the only ones that have those lovely and delicious green check marks.
I'm very interested in the marketplace, as I believe Upwork and Fiverr are not optimal for creatives. Is this something that inspired the marketplace?
Yes, absolutely. I think the great thing is that all of our studio partners, which includes NBCU, A&E, Roku, and a number of others, and then we also have a lot of small boutique production companies. The reason that they love what we're doing is, first of all, the tools are a lot more efficient for them. We have workflow tools where they can find people, save people. It basically, in a single tab system, replicates spreadsheets and paper resumes and a bunch of old school analog stuff. But the other thing they love is the quality of the talent. And I think included in that qualitative piece of it is the fact that 70% of our talent self-identify as diverse. And so we have a tax reporting tool where you can run an anonymized statistical report of your hired folks on a staffing roster, and you can use that to apply for tax credits and other benchmarks that are demographically related.
Super helpful. H, can you just kind of summarize again what you're raising, how much is left in the round, and anything else you want to share on that front?
Yeah, you bet. We're raising $750. We're doing it on a $13 million post-money cap safe, standard YC safe. And we have a angel from our pre-seed round that has circled 100,000 of that. And then we have another angel collective that has shown interest in is coming in and circling. I'm not sure how much yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be about 100,000.
Great.
And then we're talking to a number of other angel investors right now about coming in.
Perfect. That all sounds good. Any last questions for H before we wrap things up? All right. Well, if any other questions come up, we will check in with you over email. Otherwise,
Sure.
expect to hear from us by early next week with next steps on our end.
Sounds good. And I'm happy to provide the deck to anybody who'd like to take a look at it. I know I went through it at a clipped pace. I am wearing my Husslup t-shirt though, so at least I'm representing.
Love it. All right. Thanks, H.
Thank you, everybody.
Investors,
Have a great
we'll
week.
stay on for a couple minutes. Our team will, in case anyone has questions about anything. So we'll hang out for a couple minutes, but have a great day if anyone wants to drop.
Thanks much, everybody. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, so happy to answer questions about anything, whether it's related to the pitches or not. We can hang out for a couple minutes.
And just so everyone is aware, in the WhatsApp group, I've shared the poll. So Would love to get your real-time reactions of both pitches. You can either pick which company you liked more, or there's two additional options under that. So you should see it in your WhatsApp, and then it's going to be polled. It's going to be pinned to your WhatsApp for the next few days. So we'd love to get those answers in before our diligence call next week.
Any thoughts, general thoughts on the companies or questions about them?
I mean, no questions on my end. I think two really interesting and very opposite ends of sort of the spectrum, both leaders and verticals, which I think is really interesting. So kudos to you guys on sort of the two options.
Thank you. Yeah, they're both interesting for sure. I think one interesting thing about Husslup in particular for our group is that they have a community of like 15,000 people, and they would actually potentially be able to come into the round as well, which our check size as a group, just so everyone knows, has been closer to like the 50K mark, which is our minimum to move forward. And so just having like her community come in as well would help us get over that 50K mark more easily than we have been recently. So just that's something to keep in mind as well. But obviously we want to invest in whichever product is more compelling. So please vote based on that.
I think I'm a little worried that the Querio is still like, I don't quite understand how it will actually be utilized by teams outside of like a product team if there isn't somebody there who can really help guide and handhold, because that seems to be a stumbling block for a lot of these types of programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't yet to see a very compelling solution for bridging the gap between an expert level, someone who understands coding and programming, and non-technical.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know how long everyone here has been members of this group, but we are very early on. It was actually our very first VITALIZE Angels investment a couple of years ago. We invested in a company called Open Access, and they're still around, but it's a similar idea, and they've definitely seen challenges very similar to what you're talking about. I think it's hard unless they're selling to like a technical team, to your point. Just someone on like a finance team isn't always going to be able to know how to set these up on the back end or fix bugs when they happen and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great point for sure.
And to double down on that point, I think a little bit, and I sort of did so like I just for reference sake, I lead a business intelligence team. It's data scientists and data visualization people, and so like his first slide and a little bit it's sort of like who are you going to go in and sell to, because if you're coming to me it's like, hey, not doing your job well enough, bring us in, and so there's always going to be a little complexity, confusion on who, are you going to a marketing person, are you going to a product person to try to, but at the end of the day, Kashi, I think to your point, like you got to have somebody do it, right? Like even your typical like product person, your typical market person isn't going to make the connection to Redshift or to the data, the data lake. And so somebody's got to do it. And it's an uphill climb, I think, even getting that conversation off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I ran client services for a tech company, and we struggled mightily with being able to manage the different levels of experience that we had, even within our teams, getting the most basic data sets to really be able to spit out what we needed. And so I don't know that I actually saw a true solution for that unless everything flows into that workflow perfectly.
Yeah, great points. Any other thoughts that folks wanted to share? Otherwise, as a reminder, diligence training is on Tuesday. You should have the invite on your calendar. So if you do want to get involved this month with diligence on whichever company we move forward with, please join that session. We will assign sections to people who join on that call. And without further ado, I think that's it. So hope everyone has a great rest of your week, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Please
you.
remember to vote.
All right, bye.
Will do. Bye.